Welcome to the STARS program, seniors taking active roles in society. And now, here's your host, ANITA FINLEY.
It was just wonderful to see you at Bill's memorial, and I appreciate you and appreciate you and Debbie coming, and it was just lovely. So thank you very much. You could see why your value is so important. You have really made a difference in people. It's not when they're alive, but sometimes when they pass away. Everything that you said has come to pass.
Well, thank you, and it was an honor to be there. I want to tell you something interesting, totally off topic. I was talking to Chad Steskel, an attorney who's been with me 2 years, and he said, well, what are you doing this weekend? Well, I said, I'm going to be on Anita Finley's radio show tomorrow morning at 7:30. Then I have a speaking engagement at the Brooklyn College Club on Sunday morning. And he said, that radio show is why I'm here.
No kidding.
Isn't that an interesting way? And I'm going to tell you this for potential future advertisers that are there. They come to you. He said, I was sought out by a recruiter that you were looking. He said, I was in North Miami, and my wife and I had just bought a house 8 months before. We were going to move out of the area because she was pregnant, and I was going to get a job and move elsewhere. And the recruiter told me about you were seeking an attorney, and he said, I looked at the website, and you looked good.
You look
he
good.
He said, but then I listened to you online with Anita Finley. I listened to some of the shows that had been recorded and saved. And he said, I liked who you were. I liked your attitude about law, your attitude about clients, your sense of humor. He said, I listened, and I said to my wife, I know it's going to be over 100 miles a day in a car for over a year because they had to hold their house for 2 years before they sold it because they thought they would rent when they moved. And he said, made up my mind after listening to you on the radio that's where I wanted to be because on paper you sounded good, your firm had stability, had all of this other stuff, but listening to you with Anita Finley was the thing that said, yeah, I'll drive up to Palm Beach Gardens from North Miami. Isn't that an interesting thing?
It is, and it's true. It does come across that way, Joe, and I'm glad you brought that up because when I tell people that they could be on the radio, it's like makes advertising come alive, but you can tell about a person on the radio because you're not looking at them, you're listening, and you do talk from your heart, and you're very smart, so that's what he heard.
But it's an interesting thing because, of course, when I'm doing it, I'm helping to advise and inform people, and I'm looking for clientele to build my clientele. Little did I think of it as an employee recruitment tool.
That's very funny.
But it really is.
It is.
If Dr. Mencia were looking for an internist, and he's got some people who are looking and thinking about going, after they hear him on your show, they say, this is a guy who really does what I went to medical school for. He cares about helping people.
Yep, you're absolutely right.
And he's doing things differently because he sees the lack that's there, and he's open to new ideas. So I just thought you'd find that an interesting recruitment tool to get new advertisers.
Thank you.
That's a secondary goal.
Yeah, that is great, Joe. But, actually, that's what your seminars do, too, for people who aren't looking for recruiting. They're looking for answers, and they may not want to just go sit in the lawyer's office. They don't know the lawyer. They don't know. There's so many lawyers out there, but they get a chance to observe you and what you know and how you treat people. I think that was the best thing you ever created years and years ago when other people weren't doing seminars. Now it's like everyone does them. But when you first started, it was unique.
And we've been doing, I did my first public seminar, April 1994. And we've been doing them ever since. Next week, I'm really getting it. Normally, Jenny Bernstein, who's also a board-certified attorney, does the Port St. Lucie one, but her sister wanted to take a trip and asked Aunt Jenny to fly up to Virginia and be with her kids. So Jenny is off next week, so I will be doing the Port St. Lucie, the Boynton Beach, and the Palm Beach Gardens workshops. I'll do all 3 seminars next week, so I'm raring to go.
It's a good idea since I don't have the upcoming seminars. It's at the printer.
I do.
Good. Tell us.
I'm a planner, so I always
know
when I'm on the phone that I better have it because it may not be there.
Right.
We are doing 3 senior survival workshops next Tuesday in Port St. Lucie at the Port St. Lucie Holiday Inn, which is March 7. We start at 1:30 and we end around 4. We usually overstretch it because I'm a lawyer and I'm wordy. Then that's Tuesday in Port St. Lucie. Wednesday, March 8th, in Boynton Beach at the Courtyard by Marriott on Congress Avenue between Gateway and Boynton Beach Boulevard. And then Thursday at 1:30 to 4 at the Palm Beach Gardens Marriott off RCA Boulevard and PGA Boulevard in Palm Beach Gardens, and that's Thursday 1:30 to 4. And for you snowbirds who are actually Floridians who spend 4 or 5 months in New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Massachusetts, or wherever, this is the one you should come to because the next ones we're doing are the end of April. And if we're doing it at the end of April and you plan on leaving in the middle of May, we're not going to be able to help you. We're not going to be able to necessarily see you until the middle of May if you come in the end of April. So come to this one. You'll get a chance. If we can help you, we'll give you a free consultation. I was listening to the wording about Dr. Mencia after he spoke, and you had the blurb about him. They said, go there for a second opinion. The difference is Dr. Mencia will charge you for that second opinion, and we don't.
So that's
you can
true.
Come for a free second opinion. If it's appropriate, we'll see. Now, if you're a New York resident or a New Jersey resident, we're not going to look at your estate plan and tell you what to do in those states. But if you're a Floridian, it's appropriate. We'll give you a free consultation. That's what we've been doing this since 1994. We'll meet with you. We'll go over what your documents do and don't do, and whether they're adequate for you, and whether your assets are properly titled. The world has changed. These things have to be looked at regularly, at least every 3 years. The tax laws have changed. Even New Jersey's eliminating their estate tax. So people should look at all of their documents, look at their estate plan, look at their long-term care planning issues.
I want to jump in here. I want to jump in on this because it's very important what you've just said. So there are a lot of attorneys that can draw up wills and they can draw up trusts and they can do a lot of that. But what Joe brings is so much more than that. He looks into the future even before you've looked in. He looks 10 years into your future. And when he talks to you, he builds things into your estate planning that you have no idea about because he asks all the right questions. And some of them will be a little embarrassing. Some of them you'll say, well, I don't know about that. But he makes you start thinking. And so he is a unique attorney. It is not casual. You can go to other people. They'll go onto their computer. You'll get you can get a typical trust, a typical will, and that's it. But when it comes down to really needing a good document, it isn't going to cut it, is it, Joe?
No, it's interesting. I had a young couple in yesterday. We do estate planning for young couples, and some of the millennials are getting their acts together. They recognize their responsibility to their children. And we had a young couple in with 2 kids, and the couple's in their early 30s, and they're responsible working people. And after we were through, the woman had said, well, my friend said, why don't you just go online and do it? And she said, what should I answer to them? And I said, well, let me go over some of the questions I asked you and tell me if you think you would have been asked that by a blank form. And we went over them, and she said, "You're absolutely right. You have given me peace of mind." So, for example, when we talked about who would be guardian of her children, she named the married couple that are very dear friends. And my next question was, and if they got divorced, are you using them because of him or her? Who should really be first? And she said, "I never thought they'd get divorced, but she's really the one I would want to be in charge of the children." I said, "Well, why don't you name her first, him second, in case things don't work out?" Because I said, even though they're very, very nice people, sometimes very nice people, when they get into divorces, they leverage things against each other. And he could say, "Well, I'm going to fight to keep their kids if you don't do this or that." I said, nice people get not nice in divorce. I said, who would be in charge of the money for the kids? And she said, that's funny. I didn't think that maybe it should be different. Maybe I have a good friend who's really good with money, and my friends are nurturing, loving people, and they'd be great for my kid, but they may not be the appropriate people to manage the money. That's not their forte. They're not bad with money, but we have a friend who's much better in managing money and investing and understanding. That's an interesting point. And then we started covering some of the issues, and then I hit her with the horrible that she had never thought of. What if, and it was the husband and wife, but she did the talking, trust me. I said, what if you and your kids are both zapped in the same accident? Where does the money go? And the initial response is always, we don't care.
Right.
And then it was, wait a minute, we do care. My husband's sister is not getting any of that money, ever. Is there a way she could get it? But that's true. So you I said, well, do you want the state of Florida to get it? Of course not. Well, let's talk about where you do want it to go. And it's important. And I said, and now we're your lawyers. You have a question about this stuff, call up. And I said, oh, and by the way, what we have to do is a health surrogate for your children, because Florida impacted a law 2 years ago, that now you can designate who can make medical decisions for your children if you're unavailable. She said, I never thought of that. And I said, well, you're really not alone. It took the legislature up till 2 years ago to pass such a law. I said, we've been drafting them for years, but we had no legal basis or foundation for it. We just figured, what the hell? It's better than nothing, but it's good stuff. So there's things you do. You're asking questions, and we ask the same questions, obviously on a different level, of seniors. And I have couples who are unmarried couples who are living together, and they're living in one of their homes, and their trust, they have a trust, and the house is in their trust, and it basically, when I die, this is what happens. And frequently it's, when I die, my kids get the house. So now I start asking questions. If you're disabled and you go into a nursing home, or you're in you can't stay there anymore, and you're not competent, can your significant other stay in the house? What's going to be the arrangements for maintaining the place? Because your daughter is now in charge of your house. Is she going to throw your significant other out? When you die, how much time will she have to stay in your house? Who's going to pay for what? What are those issues? And you say, well, I just no, you can't just figure. You don't know. And there's two things. One is, my daughter's real nice, and she would just do the right thing. And the answer is that may very well work out that way. But if there's nothing in writing, all bets are off. And remember, when you're dead, the rules do change, and the behavior does change. Your daughter may not be so open to letting your significant other stay there. So these are things that you don't find on the computer. You don't find it in a little question book. This is life's experience talking when we hear these things. And the other thing, as you well know, is I was a trial lawyer in my first life. So I have seen the problems. I've seen human behavior. And I'm always asking, well, what if it doesn't work out?
Right. Yeah, he's great. Well, let me tell something that we haven't done. So if you want more information, I'm going to tell you how you can get it. You're going to want to go to their website, which is KARP, KARP law.com. KARP Law. Now, if you want to talk to someone, you can call 1-800-893-9911. They are not open on Saturday or Sunday, as Dr. Mencia now has Saturday hours. So wait for Monday, but you can get on their website and you will find out so many things. It's so well done. And I did get your newsletter. Thank you. Was that your first newsletter?
No, the printed one? We
do
one a year. We do one a year.
Oh.
We used to do, so you got it again.
It was very nice. Yes, I did. I read it thoroughly. But so let's just go over this again. So the phone number is 1-800-893-9911. And their website is karplaw.com. And, of course, you heard from Joe. It would start on this coming Tuesday, March the 7th at Port St. Lucie. And then March the, let's see, wait, did I do that right? Yeah, the 7th in Port St. Lucie, then Wednesday on the 8th.
March 8th, Boynton Beach.
Right, and then Thursday up in Palm Beach Gardens on the 9th. And they are wonderful, wonderful seminars. You will learn so much. And even if, hopefully you will use Joe. We do. Joe's been our attorney. He's been a lot of my friends' attorneys, but his attorney for a lot of my friends. But the thing is, you will find yourself with a lot of other people of the same age as you, and you are going to learn a lot. And as Joe said, things are changing pretty rapidly nowadays. So you better find somebody who understands what's going on.
And the other thing is, clearly, one of the things I didn't talk about is we talk about what happens when you don't die. What happens for long-term care planning? What are the rules for Medicaid? Nursing homes in Palm Beach County now average over $9,000 a month for a semi-private room.
I can't believe that you keep saying that. Are you sure?
Oh, well, the state concedes that the statewide average is over $8,600.
Amazing.
So that means Pahokee, not Boca. That means Ocala, not Palm Beach Gardens. So it's a statewide average, and there are certain parts of the state that are more expensive than others, but it is clearly Manatee County is cheaper than here. So the statewide average conceded by the state, by the way, where they set a number for an exemption for gifting, is over $8,600. Absolutely. You would be floored. When I'm saying $9,000, that doesn't cover the fact that if you're there and you're privately paying, everything is extra. It's not covered.
And people should realize something. I'm glad you said that. People think that they can go to a nursing home, and if they don't have insurance, the Medicare is going to pay for it. Not true, right?
Not true. Medicare covers a limited period of time for rehabilitative services. They do not cover any long-term care. I disagree with it. I think it's fundamentally unsound, but that is a political issue, and if you don't think health care is a political issue in this country, you have been sleeping like Rip Van Winkle. Okay? This is a political issue. My mother had a stroke and was incapacitated for 13 and a half years. Medicare did not take care of the fact that she was physically infirm. Medicare gave her treatment and her attempted rehabilitation, but Medicare did not provide her with the care she needed because she couldn't get herself dressed, she couldn't cut her own food, she couldn't go to the bathroom unattended. So they don't Medicare, I don't want to say they don't care. Medicare, it provides medical help, not custodial help, not post-rehabilitative help. Once you are there, you're done with your 100-day maximum care, you're done. They don't provide you with that. But you say, but because of my physical ailment, I need help. I can't get out of bed. I can't get dressed. I can't go to the toilet. I can't be bathed or showered. I can't prepare a meal for myself. And Medicare does not cover that. And that's important stuff. So we go over this stuff with people, and there are more and more of my clients are doing planning that they never thought they would have to do. When I first started doing this, the only people who came to me were people involved in crisis intervention. Help, 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 we need it. And we still do a lot of help, and it's amazing what we can do, contrary to people's popular belief, on a short notice with people in a nursing home. But we are having people who say, I have $800,000. I want to make sure if I end up in a nursing home that money is preserved. So not for my children's inheritance, but because I know I've been to a nursing home to visit my friend, and I see that you don't get any help. If you want to be taken outside to breathe fresh air, nobody in the nursing home will do that for you. They're too busy doing ministerial things. I want my children to have money preserved so they can give me a better quality of care. I want them to be able to pay for a private duty attendant to take me outside. I want them to be able to get me a private room instead of a semi-private room while I'm on Medicaid. And once people start to understand, it's not about leaving an inheritance, it's about providing an enhanced quality of care for the institutionalized spouse and protecting the community spouse so that the quality of life is not diminished because of those costs, they get it. And I have people more and more doing that today.
Yep, I'm sure. Everything you said, you have really taught me so much, Joe, over the years. And you, of course, have taught so many people. I hear a lot of people will come up to me and say, well, I went to Joe KARP just as you told me. And so it's been a great partnership for all of us. And you certainly, and I had to ask you, do you do your own documents for yourself?
The answer is I have, and I have not. And I'll tell you why. When there's things that I don't want my employees to know because I can't go out and find somebody who doesn't work for me, when there have been changes that I didn't want my employees to know what I was doing in terms of my own personal stuff, I've gone to a friend but I've given him my creative plan, but I've done that as well. When my kids were younger, I didn't want them to know when I thought it was appropriate for my kids to get things. Personal information, things like that. Just like we have a CPA on our staff who does tax returns for clients. She doesn't do my tax returns and my business tax returns because I like to keep that private. And I understand that my CPA and his staff may know about my financial affairs, but I sort of like to keep it a little separate. It's just like many doctors will not treat their family members.
Well, Joe, I appreciate all this, and I thank you so much. We've just run out of time, and I want to, again, thank you for being my friend and being our lawyer, and you've given a very good show this morning. I know a lot of people will definitely go to your great seminars, so thank you, and we will see you next month.
It's a mutual admiration society, believe me.
Thank you.
Take care. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
See you next month. Bye-bye.
Right.